Let me tell you something that might shock you. Don't follow anyone. That's right. Not just anybody. Not the crowd. Not the noise. Not even someone just because they sound confident. You see, one of the greatest tragedies of life is when people surrender their direction to someone else's vision. They follow, not out of purpose, but out of pressure. And I learned early on, if you follow the wrong person long enough, you could end up in a place you never meant to be. Now, don't misunderstand me. Learning is wise. But blind following, that's dangerous. I want to share with you simple, powerful truths. Why you must think for yourself, why you must develop your own philosophy, and why, in the end, your life will be shaped not by who you follow, but by what you believe. Let's begin. You've heard it before. Everybody's doing it. Just go with the flow. Don't ask too many questions. But listen to me. If you go with the flow, you'll end up where the river's going. And the problem is, most people don't know where that is. Success is not found in the crowd. It's not found in imitation. It's found in clarity, in purpose, in thinking for yourself. Don't be a follower. Be a student. You can learn from others. You can be inspired by others. But don't copy them blindly. I remember one young man who used to follow every trend, every new idea, every loud voice. He changed direction so many times, he ended up nowhere. Because here's the truth. If you don't have a plan for your life, you'll fall into someone else's. And guess what? They might not have much planned for you. Blind following is not leadership. It's not thinking. It's comfort. And comfort can be a trap. Let me tell you how this works. First, you follow someone because they seem confident. Then, you stop thinking for yourself. Then, you make their philosophy your own, without examination. And before long, you've surrendered your destiny to someone else's map. That is not the path to greatness. Stand guard at the door of your mind. Why? Because the mind, left open and unguarded, is easy prey for bad ideas. And here's the thing about bad ideas. They don't show up wearing warning signs. They come dressed like good ones. They come with smiles, with momentum, with popularity. But you must ask yourself, does it align with my values? Is it right? Is it wise? Because just because something is common doesn't mean it's right. Let me ask you a question. If 10 people are walking off a cliff, would you follow them? Of course not. But you'd be surprised how many people do. Not off a cliff made of rocks, but one made of bad decisions, wasted years, and silent regret. Here's what I believe. You must develop your own personal philosophy. You must decide what's true for you. You must walk your own path, even if it's unpopular. That's how leaders are made. That's how character is formed. Don't just read the easy books. You might be entertained, but you won't grow. Don't just follow the easy ideas. They might feel good, but they won't challenge you. And without challenge, there's no change. So I'll say it again. Don't follow anyone blindly. Be a student. Ask questions. Test the soil before you plant your life in it. Because the price of following the wrong person is a life that never becomes what it could have been. And that's a high price to pay. Now let's talk about something that's very important. Let me tell you, it's easy to follow people. It's easy to get caught up in trends, in the noise, in the crowd. But I've learned something over the years. Don't follow people. Follow principles. People change. Trends fade. But principles, they last forever. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn from others. You absolutely can. But the moment you make someone your map, instead of using wisdom as your compass, you might find yourself lost in someone else's life instead of building your own. The crowd is comfortable. The crowd is familiar. The crowd looks like safety. But let me tell you something that might sting a little. The crowd is often wrong. You know what the crowd says? Take it easy. Don't work too hard. Everyone's doing it, so it must be right. But if everyone's broke, would you want to be broke too? If everyone's living paycheck to paycheck, would you choose that life just because it's the popular one? Think about this. A man once said, if you follow the herd, you'll step in what the herd leaves behind. Let that sink in. Here's what I recommend. Don't ask, who should I follow? Ask, what's the right thing to do? See, wisdom is better than opinion. Principles are better than popularity. And truth is better than applause. Discipline, integrity, hard work, self-respect, these never go out of style. I know people today want followers, but don't be a follower. Be a student. Be a thinker. Be someone who asks, is this the wise path? Because popularity is temporary, but principles are eternal. Now, I've had mentors. I've studied people, but I never gave away my thinking, and neither should you. Don't worship the speaker. Don't idolize the influencer. Don't follow someone off a cliff just because they said, trust me. You gotta weigh what they say. Test it. Hold it up to the light of reason. See if it lines up with truth. See if it brings peace. See if it creates results. And if it does, then follow the principle, not the person. Sometimes choosing principles means walking alone, and that's hard. But let me tell you, it's better to walk alone in the right direction than to follow the crowd to destruction. It's lonely at first. You'll be misunderstood. People might call you strange, serious, obsessed. But you know what else they'll call you one day? Successful, respected, free. That's the reward of standing on principles. Some people want to fit in so badly. They'll trade away their dreams just to avoid judgment. They'll trade purpose for popularity. But that's a bad deal. Don't sell your future for a moment of comfort. Don't sell your potential for a bit of applause. You weren't designed to blend in. You were made to stand out, not by being loud, but by being solid. Solid in your values, solid in your work ethic, solid in your mind. That's real power. So what should you do? Start building your life on something stronger than opinion, stronger than social media, stronger than popularity. Build it on discipline, integrity, courage, service, self-education, purpose. These are the bricks of a great life. Lay them down, one decision at a time. And if you do that, I promise you this, you'll look back in 10 years and thank yourself. Because you won't just be successful, you'll be proud. Not for who you followed, but for what you stood for. So let me say it one more time. Don't follow people. Follow principles. Choose wisdom over popularity. And don't just be remembered. Be respected. Now that's the path of a leader. That's the path of someone who's serious about life. And that someone can be you. You see, life is a classroom. And every person you meet, a teacher. Now, let me tell you something that changed my life. You can learn from everybody, but you don't have to follow anybody. That's the balance. That's the distinction. That's wisdom. It's easy, far too easy to get caught up following personalities. We admire them. We watch their moves. We mimic their style. But here's the danger. When you follow people, you can inherit their weaknesses along with their strengths. Don't do that. Be a student, not a follower. A student listens, evaluates, learns, but decides for themselves. A follower, on the other hand, surrenders their thinking. They take the words of others as final truth. Don't ever surrender your power to think. Not to me. Not to anyone. Keep your eyes open. Keep your mind sharp. Be selective about what you take in. Take the best and leave the rest. That was one of my favorite philosophies early on. You see, someone can be brilliant in one area and completely lost in another. They can teach you discipline, but lack compassion. They might teach you business, but know nothing about family. So you learn what's useful and discard what's not. Let me give you a personal example. When I first got around successful people, I was in awe. One man I met could close deals like a magician, smooth talker, sharp dresser. And I thought, if I just follow him, I'll be successful too. But what I didn't realize until later was he also lived a life of stress. He had broken relationships. He cut corners. He compromised values for results. Now, I could have followed everything he did, but that would have led me off a cliff. Instead, I became a student. I studied how he closed deals. I learned how he carried himself with confidence. But I also noticed the damage he left behind. And I said, that part, I'll leave it. You must constantly be sorting ideas, sorting behaviors, sorting philosophies. That's what wise people do. They observe, they evaluate, they adopt what aligns with their values. Let me repeat it again. Learn from everyone, follow no one. Because here's what's true. People will disappoint you, even the best ones. They'll contradict themselves. They'll make mistakes. They'll fall short. But principles? Oh, principles are timeless. Integrity never goes out of style. Discipline always pays off. Honesty still wins in the end. So don't chase personalities. Don't worship people. Don't hang your future on someone else's decisions. You are the architect of your life. Don't hand over the blueprints to someone else. Every book you read, highlight the good, question the rest. Every mentor you meet, learn what you can, but walk your own path. Even when you listen to me, Jim Rohn, take what makes sense, but don't follow blindly. Think, reflect, decide, because that's what makes a person strong. That's what builds character. That's what shapes a life of value. Now, let me give you a few tips here. 1. Develop a filter. Don't absorb everything. Some things are flashy, but not foundational. Learn to spot wisdom, not just charisma. 2. Ask questions. When someone gives you advice, ask, does this align with who I want to become? Not just, does it sound good? 3. Try, adjust, improve. You try ideas on like a new suit. You walk around in it. See how it fits. If it pinches, toss it. If it fits, keep it and tailor it to your life. Now, some people might say, but Jim, isn't that lonely walking your own path? Let me tell you, it's the most rewarding kind of walk. Because when you arrive at your destination, it's yours. Built by your decisions. Built on your values. Built with your own hands. And let me tell you something else. You'll become the kind of person others want to learn from. Why? Because you didn't just follow. You studied. You built. You grew. And people respect that. They gravitate toward it. Because authenticity, realness is rare these days. So don't be afraid to be a student of life. Don't be afraid to stand alone for what's right. And don't be afraid to say, I'll take that, but I'll leave that. You are not a follower. You are a thinker, a builder, a creator. Let your mind be the compass. Let your values be the map. And let your decisions shape the journey. That, my friend, is the power of choosing to learn from everyone, but follow no one. Let's keep going. Let me tell you something that changed my life. If you ever want to become someone worth following, don't wait for someone to lead you. Lead yourself. Yes, that's right. Be the example, not the copy. Because here's the truth. People don't follow what you say, they follow what you do. You want to change your family? You want to uplift your team? You want to inspire your community? Then become the kind of person that others admire by the way you live. The greatest gift you can give to others, I once said, is your own personal development. And it's true, because when you grow, you glow. And when you glow, people are drawn to your light. But remember, light doesn't make noise. It just shines. That's what being the example means. See, it's easy to talk. It's easy to point. It's easy to give advice you don't follow. But leadership is never about volume. It's about values. People are tired of noise. What they need is clarity, direction, character, integrity. And that doesn't come from reading the latest quote online. It comes from you doing the hard work behind the scenes when no one is watching. That's where your example is born. Now let's get practical. Want your kids to read more? Don't lecture them. Let them see you with a book. Want your friends to get healthy? Don't criticize. Cook a better meal. Invite them to walk with you. Want your team to hustle? Then show up early. Stay a little later. Bring the energy. The example speaks louder than the instruction. Why? Because behavior is contagious. You ever notice how one person with discipline raises the standard for everyone around them? or how one person with a lazy attitude can bring the whole team down. That's the power of presence. So here's the question. What does your presence communicate? What does your daily routine say about your values? When people look at your life, do they see excuses or do they see effort? Because the world is always watching, even if you don't realize it. I remember one time a man came up to me after a seminar. He said, "Jim, I've been following your work for 10 years. I never met you until now, but your life helped me raise my son." That hit me. Not because of the praise, but because I realized the life we live might inspire someone we'll never meet. That's why being the example isn't about ego. It's about responsibility. It's about choosing to be a lighthouse in a sea of confusion, a steady hand in a shaking world. And friends, that begins with self-leadership. Let me remind you, don't just learn, do, don't just listen, apply, don't just hope, act. Because people don't follow opinions, they follow courage. They follow conviction. They follow consistency. So don't chase followers. Become someone worth following. And that takes years. That takes repetition. That takes dedication when no one's clapping. But the reward? You'll earn the one thing that can't be bought: respect. You'll build the kind of character that creates influence without ever asking for it. So be the example, not for applause, but because it's right. Lead yourself. Speak with your life. And soon, without even trying, you'll light the path for someone else. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real, being honest, being consistent. Because when people see you keep showing up, when they see you stumble and rise again, when they see that you live what you teach, they'll believe it's possible for them too. That's the magic. So today decide. Don't just talk about what's right. Live it. Because the greatest change in others begins with the quiet decision to lead yourself first. Let your life be the message. Let your example be the sermon, and everything else will follow. Let me share with you something many people don't want to hear. Something that might feel uncomfortable, but it's true. If you want to live a life of real meaning, real growth, real success, you will have to walk alone sometimes. Yes, walk alone. Because the path you're meant to take may not be crowded. It may be narrow. It may be difficult. And it may leave you separated from the crowd. But don't fear it. Don't avoid it. Because there's power in walking alone. Now, I know what you're thinking. Walking alone sounds lonely. And yes, it can be. But there's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Solitude is a friend. It's the quiet space where you meet yourself, where you discover what you're really made of, where your true character is forged. Loneliness is the feeling you get when you wish others were there, but they're not. Solitude is the strength you feel when you realize you don't need to rely on anyone else to move forward. Let me tell you a story. When I was starting out, I didn't have a crowd cheering me on. I didn't have many mentors to guide me. I had a few ideas, a lot of hope, and a stubborn will to improve. Most people didn't understand me. Some even doubted me. Some told me I was wasting my time. But I kept walking. I kept learning. I kept growing. And every step I took alone built my foundation stronger. That's the power of walking alone. See, when you walk alone, you have no one to blame but yourself. No one to excuse your failures. No one to take credit for your wins. You stand fully responsible. And that responsibility is freedom. Freedom to choose your direction. Freedom to shape your values. Freedom to decide what kind of person you will become. But walking alone isn't about isolation. It's about self-reliance. It's about trusting your own mind, listening to your own heart, and having the courage to take the steps no one else will. Because the truth is, most people are not willing to pay the price. Most people would rather follow the crowd. Most people choose comfort over growth. But you are not most people. You are someone who knows that greatness demands courage. That success requires sacrifice. That freedom comes from discipline. And sometimes that means walking alone. Now, I don't want you to misunderstand. Walking alone doesn't mean you reject community. It doesn't mean you avoid learning from others. It doesn't mean you never seek help. No, it means you don't depend on others for your progress. You take the first step without waiting for permission. You stay on course even when the path looks empty. You don't give up because no one's applauding. You don't quit because no one's following. Let me remind you what I said earlier in this journey. Don't follow anyone blindly. Follow principles. Build your own philosophy. Lead yourself. Walking alone is the natural consequence of that. When you lead yourself, you'll often find you're the only one on your path. But that's okay. Because the most valuable thing in life is to live true to yourself. To stand firm on your values. To act with integrity. To pursue your purpose with relentless passion. And here's something else to consider. Every great leader you admire, every pioneer, every innovator, every hero, they walked alone at some point. They faced doubt. They faced criticism. They faced the temptation to quit. But they pressed on because they knew the power of walking alone. Now, how do you harness that power? First, embrace solitude. Make peace with your own company. Spend time reflecting on your goals, your values, and your vision. Second, build resilience. Strengthen your mind and spirit to withstand criticism and setbacks. Third, develop patience. Understand that progress is a journey, often a slow one, traveled mostly in silence. Fourth, stay focused on your why. Your purpose will be the light that guides you through the dark stretches. Remember this, the oak sleeps in the acorn, the bird waits in the egg, and in the highest vision of the soul, a waking angel stirs. You don't need a crowd to validate your dreams. You need faith. You need courage. You need to walk your path, even if it's alone. Finally, know this, walking alone is never the end of the journey. It's the beginning of something greater, because the person who walks alone develops a strength others never see. They gain wisdom through introspection. They build confidence through self-reliance. They create a life on their own terms. So if you find yourself alone today, embrace it. If others don't understand your vision, don't be discouraged. If the path seems lonely, keep walking. Because walking alone is not a weakness. It's a sign that you're on your own unique road. A road that will lead you to a destination only you can reach. And that, my friend, is power. Keep walking. Keep growing. Keep believing. Your journey is your own, and it's worth every lonely step. Your life is yours to lead. No one else can walk your path. No one else can carry your dreams. No one else can make the choices that will shape your future. And that is both a great responsibility and a great opportunity. When you decide to stop following the crowd, when you decide to build your own philosophy, when you choose principles over popularity, when you learn from everyone but follow no one, when you become the example, and when you embrace the power of walking alone, that is when your life changes. That is when you become unstoppable. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. But nothing worthwhile ever is. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. And self-leadership is the bridge to freedom. So step into your power. Lead your own life with courage. Be the person you respect. Be the person others admire not by imitation but by authenticity. Because the world needs more leaders who think for themselves. More people who create their own map. More souls brave enough to walk their own path. Don't follow anyone. Follow truth. Follow wisdom. Follow your own heart. And keep moving forward one step, one day at a time. You've got everything it takes. You are enough. And your journey starts now. Thank you for listening. Live well. Lead yourself. And shine your light.